Welcome back to the Blister and Muck podcast. I'm Jenny Mason, your host and the creator of the Blister and Muck series. This week, Blister must take charge and disable the doctor's electric devices. Victory is imperative. As you may recall, Yana electronically extracted Blister's memories so that she could locate Madame Putresca's animal rescue headquarters. If Blister can't short-circuit that contraption, he'll wind up addled like Ooze and Horchata and so many other creatures. That means he'll lose his mental zaptitude. And we all know what that leads to. First, his favorite ice cream will be chocolate. Then, his favorite musician will be Chaka Khan. Or Frank Zappa. Do you suppose an electric brainwash hurts? If it happens more than once, is it revolting? All joking aside, electricity truly sets our modern human experience apart from how people lived and behaved in the past. We hardly notice all the electricity shaping our lifestyle because it is so abundant. We can access it pretty much whenever and wherever we like. That is not true for all people around the world. War or poverty prevents many countries from accessing a steady, reliable supply of power. Interestingly, scientists who study climate change point out that our own privileged access is at risk because the national electric grid that disperses our electricity is old. Like, really old. Some of the oldest power lines still in operation date back to the 1880s. Other hunks of the grid are anywhere from 60 to 80 years old. Although the U.S. power grid is thought to be the world's largest machine, it is not running as smoothly as it used to. According to the U.S. Energy Administration, U.S. residents experience 1.3 power outages annually. That seems small until you multiply 1.3 across the 120 million households in the country. Of all the modern, developed, and wealthy nations, the U.S. ranks dead last in its ability to supply power. Meanwhile, severe weather and wildfires are hammering our old, creaky, leaky power grid. From 2003 to 2012, weather-related power outages more than doubled. If we can't update our equipment, and if we don't bury our power lines underground where wildfires can't damage them, then we'll likely face power scarcity in the near future. If scarcity is a new word for you, it refers to when things are in short supply. When anything is scarce, there simply isn't enough for everyone. I find it intriguing that scarce and scare, or scarcity and scary, sound so much alike, and that it is actually quite scary to go through times of scarcity. Beyond similar sounds, the words are not at all related. Scarce comes from an old Latin word for plucking out or selecting. That makes perfect sense to me when I think about instances in my life when money was scarce and I couldn't load my shopping cart with anything and everything at the grocery store. Instead, I had to pluck out only a few items from the crammed shelves. Sociologists, or people who study how human society behaves, have recently discovered that scarcity skews our actions and our thinking. Besides limiting how much we buy, scarcity alters our thinking around what to buy. For example, if a family has a secure and ample income, they may put plenty of healthy fruits and vegetables in their shopping cart. But when money is scarce, they don't. Why buy a mere 4 apples when that same amount of money could get a pack of 20 mini bags of chips? In other words, why buy 4 when you can get 20 for the same price? Seems very logical until you compare the nutrients of the apples to the nutrients of the chips. By itself, a single apple delivers a massive dose of fuel to the body. Pair it with some peanut butter, and you'll satisfy your hunger for hours. Whereas eating a mini bag of cheesy poofs delivers very little to the body and ultimately makes you crave yet another mini bag of cheesy poofs. Side note, is it just me, or do cheesy poof and cheesy crunch chips resemble cheesy turds? Like, maybe there's a magical cheese unicorn that poops the big and puffy cheesy poofs, while a cantankerous yet magical cheesy unigoat poops the hard, lumpy, cheesy crunch sticks? That's not just me thinking that, right? At any rate, scarcity skews our thinking outside the grocery store too. For instance, we struggle to prioritize tasks. We'll invest hours doing all the unimportant things while completely neglecting the truly pressing jobs that need done. I would suspect our scarcity-skewed thinking extends to how we value ourselves. Perhaps we undervalue our skills and overvalue our vices or bad habits. I bring all this up because Blister has faced a lot of scarcity lately while trapped in Dr. Van Sangfreud's secret laboratory. He's been scarce on allies and scarce on options. And throughout his whole life, he's known nothing but scarcity. So how has his mindset been skewed as a result? Would he, for instance, place any great value on his knack for leadership and his ability to spur others to action? Would he, for that matter, even agree that he possesses a knack for leadership? I guess what I'm driving at is, what happens if, over a lifetime, we've built our spirits and hearts out of cheesy unicorn pellets rather than peanut butter apples? Episode 7. Power Struggles. Yana whirled over to Blister's cage. She poked her head into the electric cloud as it dimmed from turquoise to green. The static energy fuzzed her red hair.
Thank you, Blister. You've been more helpful than I ever imagined possible.
To the lab assistants, she commanded,
Prepare for neural demolition.
The assistants disconnected the big glass jar. They tapped buttons and twisted dials on the machine.
Whoa, hang on,
Blister protested.
Neural demolition? Whatever that is, sounds completely unnecessary, don't you think?
Doomed, the raccoon chattered. It paced nervous circles around its cage.
Don't worry,
Yana said. Away from the trap, her hair remained wildly fluffed.
It's completely customary. Just a sudden blast of electricity and you'll forget all about me. My plans, this place, the neurocognitive peritial serum extractor. You'll forget everything. Think of it as payment for services rendered.
Blister poked his arm through the mesh. He yanked the cables wrapped around the clamps, trying to disconnect them.
Didn't I tell you? This was a free service. No charge.
I'll miss our banter, Blister. Yana chuckled. She cradled the glass jar full of electric bubbles.
Initiate neural demolition.
A lab lady pulled a heavy lever on the side of the contraption. The generator squealed, and a white, sparking cloud traveled along the cables toward the cage. Blister's heart twisted sideways somewhere between his ears.
Ticks and maggots!
Bright light swallowed his cage. An explosion belched out of the generator. The white cloud dissipated. In the dreary shine from the oil lamps, Blister saw the old fellow, Yana's father, and the real Dr. Van Sangfreud stumbling away from the spark-spitting machine. He had jammed the silver cat head from the cane into one of the magnetic turbines. With one spinning magnet disabled, The generator could no longer pull electric current from the copper wire coils. Lights on the contraption dimmed. The centrifuge slowed like a carnival ride coming to an end. The generator shook against the bolts, holding it to the floor. Squeal, spit, zap. Streamers of clogged electricity spewed from its wound. Squeal, spit, zap. They scraped burn marks on the walls and floors. They swatted lab ladies and cats with a hot, singeing hiss. Some streamers smacked the traps, short-circuiting the batteries. As a result, the magnetic metal folds relaxed. Animals rocketed free in a helter-skelter dash.
Secure the specimens,
Yana screamed. Despite her command, the tidy laboratory disintegrated into a chaotic tornado of flickering bolts, yelping lab assistants, yowling cats, screeching raptors, chittering raccoons, a barking dog, and a snorting rhinoceros, all running to and fro. The dance floor was alive again.
Hey, big guy,
Blister called to the rhino.
Smash that jar!
I thought you wanted me to burst through the wall,
the rhino objected.
Do that next.
The rhino nodded. He leveled his curved nose horn at the selected target. At that moment, Yana was too busy hugging the bubble-filled jar with one arm and manually spinning the centrifuge with her other arm. She did not notice the rhino charging at her.
Look out, Dr. Van Sangfreud,
one of the lab ladies shouted. Yana squawked and sprinted for the stairwell. The rhino trailed on her heels. Too big to fit through the doorway, he slammed into it. The plaster cracked easy as eggshells, but the doorframe held firm. The rhino bounced back on his mighty hindquarters. He sat in a momentary daze, his tubular ears swiveling. As far as Blister could see, Yana was long gone with the jar. He did not get a moment to instruct some other creature to pursue her before Jan van Sangfreud mashed open the clamps. He yanked the trap and battery off the table and shuffle-raced across the dance floor.
I owe you one,
Blister said, assuming the old fellow would pursue Yana. Jan, however, did not make chase. Instead, he shuffled back to the squalling generator.
Wrong way! Let's head for the nearest exit! Exit!
Blister coached him. Jan ignored the guidance. With his mostly toothless mouth hanging ajar and his feathered hair wisps sticking out, the old doctor resembled a maniacal chicken. He swung the cage like a bowling ball, low, then high, and released. Blister's insides shattered into his feet.
Squeal, spit, zap.
The electric bolt that squirted out of the turbine globbed around Blister's cage. The metal unfolded and Blister dropped to the floor. His skin prickled and his puffed, singed fur smoked at the tips.
Follow me!
The rhino shouted. He took aim at the plaster stretched between the bricked windows and shot forward, like a burly cannonball on 4 legs. A cadre of lab ladies quickly stretched a huge magnetic mesh net across the rhino's target. They grinned, feeling triumphant. But the rhino doubled his speed, and the ladies frowned. When he blasted through the wall, he took the crumpled mesh rug with him. The ladies tasseled from the ends. Animals shot out of the opening. Monkeys and apes stumbled over the rubble, heaving sloshing aquariums with distressed fish, salamanders, and crustaceans. Jan scuffled behind them with a wriggling Blister in his clenched fist.
Put me down! I can run!
Blister shouted. The Exodus pooled out over the gravel driveway along the back of the rotting castle. Blister recognized it as the one he had seen from the library window, the one where all the delivery trucks parked and unloaded. Even now, delivery trucks arrived. Slender wooden wheels crunched the gravel. Blazing lanterns mounted to the front and sides of the vehicles swabbed away patches of night's ink. The escaping animals froze, momentarily blocked by the ring of trucks. Mrs. Chip-Toothed Chettingley slid out of the driver's seat of the Bowler and Sons silverware truck. She leveled the long barrel of a tranquilizer gun at the escapees and grimaced at them.
"You're all in trouble now. Yes, yes."
She cocked the gun and shouted,
"Surround them!"
The cargo doors of the trucks swung open, and the officers of the rebalanced society streamed out. They fanned across the gravel, panting and sniffing the air, much as dogs after a satisfying stroll. Tongues lolled from their mouths as they blocked the escape. Snare poles in hand, the orbs closed in. Abruptly, Horchata swooped over the women. A slick gray and white string trailed behind her. Blister wondered what it was until it splattered across Mrs. Chettingley. She screeched and dropped the tranquilizer gun to wipe the avian gravy off her face. Seltzer dove into the lantern light, bombing the ladies with his own splatter art. After him, the birds from the lab took turns swooping and pooping. The orbs shrieked and ran for cover. The lab animals bolted across the wide gravel clearing. Dr. Jan van Sangfreud shuffled. Blister fought to squeeze free of the old man's bony grip. The lab staff and cats joined the chase, their puffed hair and fur shedding little sparks. One of the lab assistants took up the tranquilizer gun and aimed into the fray. Seltzer and Horchata swooped down and strategically dropped gray splatter bombs on her face. "Here's mud in your eye," Seltzer squawked. "Hrr, hrr, hrr, hrr," Horchata laughed. Undeterred, the lab lady fired blindly in all directions. Boom! 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 Feathered darts struck tree trunks or whooshed away into the night. A few punctured the bustles of the ladies' skirts, sending them into drowsy stumbles. Several cats fell down snoring. Ooze and Meyer emerged from the woods. They shouted at the creature stampede. "Follow us, huh?"
This way.
"You're not supposed to be out of the house, Papa."
Yana scolded as she pounced on the old doctor and yanked him backwards. As Yana dragged the frail old chap, his heels carved trails in the gravel. Without warning, Jan baseballed Blister into the dark woods. Blister bounced, rolled, and skidded. Horchata landed nearby and mantled her wings like shields around him.
"Are you all right?"
Seltzer nearly crash-landed on them.
"Is he addled?"
"I'm fine," Blister said. "I came this close to having my brains char-broiled."
He half-pinched his thumb and finger together.
"Putreska will be so relieved,"
Horchata said.
She was frantic when I told her you'd been captured.
Blister's brow nodded.
"Really?"
Seltzer helped Blister to his feet, and the trio fled deeper into the woods.
"We have to get you back to the headquarters," Seltzer said. "Madame Putreska is mounting a massive rescue as we speak."
"No, first you have to take me home to the bell tower."
Seltzer objected.
"But Madame Putreska ordered us
She'll
to."
thank you later, I promise," Blister cut in. "I know none of this will make sense, but the rich lady is Dr. Van Sangfreud, and she wants to capture the circus panther hiding out in the bell tower. I have to get that panther to the caverns."
Horchata said,
"Muck's already taking care of it. After he heard you shout something about a rib in the rich lady's dress, he was bursting to get to the cathedral, so I took him there."
"Yahoo!"
Blister leapt up. Not only had Muck understood his obscure, coded message, but also he had broken ranks from the opeRATives for Blister's sake. The score was final. Europe, -1,000 points, and Blister, 1,000,000 points.
Whenever Blister shared that telegram, he knew for certain now that Muck would refuse to reunite with his family in Europe. When the pigeons exchanged worried glances, Blister ceased his grooving victory dance. He cleared his throat and said,
Please take me to the bell tower. That panther is stubborn. He may not listen to Muck, and we might need to help get him going.
Admit it. You were shocked. Blister and the lab animals successfully escaped. I suppose once that shock passes, you'll be ecstatic. It just goes to show that you can overcome impossible odds so long as you keep your eye on the goal. It's that spark of determination. That's what matters. That said, Blister still has a lot on his plate to deal with. I can't omit the fact that Yana still has an electric map to lead her to Madame Putresca's caverns. She still has a faithful army following her every command. And she's well on her way to transforming herself into a supreme Meganimal. Why are we concluding this episode now and not pressing on to see if Yana captures Rip before Blister and Muck can hide him? Well, in part because all those ricocheting bolts from the broken generator have frizzed my sweater with static energy. It's okay though. I'm told I can exchange it for a replacement, free of charge. Until the next episode releases, stop by blisterandmuck.com and use the contact bubble to tell me what you think will happen next. Know any electric jokes, better or worse than this one? If you plant a light bulb in your garden, will it grow into a power plant? Want to hear more about the research sociologists have done on scarcity and how it impacts our thinking and behaviors? Check out the link to a terrific interview from the Science Friday podcast. You can also explore some articles about the U.S. power grid. While you're at the website, you can check out the awesome items available in the Blister and Muck gift shop. These colorful, made in the USA hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, and face masks are the ideal way to stack some rats under your holiday tree. Plus, your order includes a top secret surprise from the entire Blister and Muck crew. A portion of every purchase helps keep this show coming back week after week. You also support this show when you give it some stars or a positive review on whatever app or platform you use to listen along. Recommending the show to your friends or the sweaty joggers chuffing down your sidewalk is another great way to support the show. When you make a donation to the show or purchase an item from the gift shop, yes, you are helping me cover the costs of web hosting, sound effects, and music. But you are also providing something so much more profound. Not all young people have adults in their lives who can take the time to read stories, even though read-alongs help our minds develop creativity and critical thinking skills. I hope that my podcast fills that void for kids who need it. Because money can be an obstacle to families facing income scarcity, I release each episode for free. Your donations help ensure this story is always available to the young people confronting scarcities every day. Special thanks to Roland Rudzitis for serving up the Blister and Muck theme song. Additional music from Chad Crouch, Mon Plaisir, and John Bartman. Electrical sounds and effects from Waker 1, Daniel Simon, and Mike Koenig, Janos Jr., Constructabeat, and Zot 820. Flathill brought the rain and thunder. Mike Koenig brought the crickets. Explosions and thuds from Tom McCann and GWMX YouTube 3. All other sounds from the public domain. Never in scarce supply is gratitude for my family, friends, and fans. One for one, and all for you.